Hello everyone, I am Coolguy, and today we're going to be reviewing the Week 3 vendor Parthian shot, and this review is going to be talking about the perks and how it affects this weapon, knowing the perks uses and how they make a mid to long range pulse special. This week's vendor role is Secret Round or Take a Knee, Perfect Balance or Rifled Barrel, and then Counterbalance. Before we get into this role and why it's special, let's take a second to fully understand what the Parthian shot has going for it on a base level and why it's on players' radar. The Parthian shot's high impact pulse archetype is one of the rarest in the game nowadays. There are only two within this archetype that can be used up to current light level, and they are in direct competition with one another. Parthian shot and the spare change. Well, technically there's a third, the Milla D, being thrown into the mix, but with hockey weapons they handle a little bit differently with the full round burst, and they separate themselves from other weapons in the game. The Parthian shot has a rate of fire of 59 and an impact of 30, and with the sandbox update in 2502, this archetype received a fire rate increase of 5.3%. And if you've used this archetype before the update, you can definitely notice a difference, and that buff only helped the weapon. And again, the main two are Parthian shot and spare change. Both of them have opposite stats of one another. The Parthian shot has a base range of 40, stability of 62, reload of 48, aim assist of 30, recoil direction of 70, and equip speed of 26. In comparison, the spare change has more range at 51, way less stability at 30, a similar reload of 49, more aim assist at 50, a very low recoil direction stat of 50, and then an equip speed of 37. And as you can see, stability and recoil direction go to the Parthian shot, and range and aim assist go to the spare change, and both go hand in hand with how they handle. Stability and recoil direction has a big impact on the makeup of a weapon. It's the difference of a weapon feeling really good in your hands versus a weapon that needs a little bit more help. So the base spare change has a very hard drift to the left with nothing on it when you're firing it, and even with hand laid stock, a big stability perk added, the trait of the hard left drift is still kinda there. That's the inherent recoil direction stat at work, and this is okay in PvE as range is important and we aren't too really worried about being precise. To eliminate that, the spare change needs Counterbalance. The Parthian shot, however, has a very good base stability and recoil direction, meaning that if you add some stability to it, you're going to be okay, and Counterbalance isn't as necessary on it. And later on, it's going to open up more options for perks like Headseeker when these vendor roles change every week. In PvE, the Parthian shot is a decent weapon, a hard-hitting pulse rifle with range in mind, but I wouldn't personally take it to higher level PvE activities. There's just too many good options in the primary category, especially with the addition of adept weapons. But PvP is where this role and this weapon can shine. It's where it can be the most deadly. It does 34 to the head, resulting in 102 damage per burst, and 23 to the body, resulting in 69 per burst. If all headshots land, it has the ability to 2 burst, and you should never really be beyond 3 burst within effective range. And remember, light level activities like Iron Banner, you're able to do a little bit more damage to lower level Guardians, so keep that in mind, resulting in even more possibility of 2 taps. The base stats of the Parthian shot set you up with a variety of perks that can be useful, but let's talk about this week's role. For the sights, keep in mind we have Counterbalance, and then I have Perfect Balance added when you're looking at these recoil directions. We have the REFLEX, slightly improved optics, improved aim assist, STEADYHAND IS optimized for excellent recoil control, and the OEG, slightly improved optics and improved handling. It's to the user and what you like. All of them are really good options. I like the REFLEX a little bit. It does add to aim assist. It helps that low aim assist stat of 30 to bring it up. And this week's vendor role has the option of Secret Round. Missing a shot from the weapon's burst will fire a 4th shot, and then Take a Knee. Crouching grants improved accuracy and stability, as well as reduced aim time and flinch under fire. We're going to talk about these last. In the middle tree, we have Perfect Balance or Rifled Barrel, and it's important to note that the range cap is 75, and Rifled Barrel will get you there. You keep your base stability, and then you hit range cap. It's a good option. I prefer Perfect Balance, though. It does add to stability, and it makes the grouping a little bit tighter, and we're combining that with Counterbalance. And then the more stability that we get, the more precise that we are. It's important in PvP, especially it helps your ability for the 2-shot. Last perk note is Counterbalance, the reduction of side-to-side recoil, and it's never a bad thing on a pulse rifle, really. It's never bad. It's not as necessary on the Parthian shot, but it never hurts to have Counterbalance. It pairs nicely with Perfect Balance in the middle tree, and hand-laid stock or brace frame would have been more ideal to get that stability stat up to the hefty 94, but it's okay with what we have this week with Perfect Balance. Let's go back to the first two. Secret Round states that missing a shot from this weapon's burst will fire a 4th shot. So for PvE, this can have some benefits, such as shooting oracles. But an oracle disruptor Praetus timepiece is going to serve you a little bit better. And in PvP, it messes up the time to kill and the rhythm of your shot. And if any shot of the burst misses, an additional shot is fired, right? So you have that 4th burst. This reduces your fire rate, and the extra shot kind of wastes time getting back to the kill time. Then we have Take a Knee. We have both a very misunderstood perk as well as a very underrated perk at the same time. And for me, Take a Knee is what makes this role this week. It's kind of a low-key perk, not really too many people use it, and this is a section to really talk about it and why it's really good on a mid to long range pulse rifle. All you do is crouch and then take a knee is activated. There's a slight delay between crouching and activation, just keep that in mind. So let's talk about each section. Crouching gains improved accuracy. So accuracy is a cone, it widens from the tip of your weapon and bullets can land anywhere within that shooting cone. The tighter the cone, the easier it is to land shots. You have your initial accuracy and you have your final accuracy. The longer that you fire, the wider your accuracy cone gets, and take a knee makes your initial accuracy near 100%. And something like on a sniper rifle, it's really fun to use. You can do some really cool things. Take a knee also grants more stability, and the stability that you get is kind of minimal, but all things in Destiny, any stability added is good stability. You also have reduced aim time, and again, this is slight. Most of the time you're kind of crouched when you're in take a knee, but we'll take what we can get. And the last thing that it gives you is reduced flinch under fire, which really is a step in the right direction with what we want to do with the Parthian shot. It helps you land really good shots when taking fire, and it's probably the most important thing. And when you think about it, all together and combined, while crouched you get lesser versions of hipfire, snapshot, perfect balance, and unflinching. And on the Parthian shot, we have that combined with a high base stability and perfect balance, and then counterbalance. It's why this week's role has synergy. In popular game modes like Control, this is a really good setup to have, and when most players think of take a knee, they think that you're going to be stationary as far back in the map as you could possibly go. They're going to be that guy, and it's just way too passive of a perk to fit their playstyle, and that's okay. You can do that with a Parthian shot or any primary weapon with Take a Knee, but it can be a little bit more than that. Take a Knee is a utility perk. It has a lot of uses, and yes, you have to be crouched, but let's talk about some of those uses. For things like capping zones, we need to stay in the zone to cap it. You'll be taking enemy fire, and enemies will see that the zone's being capped or taken, and they're going to try to contest it. So it's pretty basic. You're going to be crouched, and you're going to have those benefits of Take a Knee to help cap the zone. You can also use Take a Knee to hold down positions and lanes, and the same goes for when enemies are capping zones. You can push up to contest with it, and we'll talk about that in a second. Because every map has these lanes. In the main lanes, there are usually players, and enemy players that are holding down that position, they're hard scoping the lane, or they have a scout rifle supporting their team in the back. But the main thing, how I find Take a Knee the most useful on this weapon, is challenging those lanes. When we go around corners, we don't want to go around them blindly running. We want to knee slide or do a little small jump around them to keep ourselves off of head level. And most of the time in these popular lanes, there is an enemy there. He has his sights trained right where you should be coming out from. That's why we want to knee slide. And we want them to actively move their crosshairs to readjust their aim, especially snipers. This is where Take a Knee is the most beneficial for me, because when you knee slide around a corner, you will then be in Take a Knee with all of its buffs, and that's how I find that it's the most useful on a primary weapon, and that's why the Parthian shot with the range game is really good. It's a good buff to have in your engagements. As an example right here, I do not knee slide, and I end up challenging the scout rifle user. The flinch knocks me way off course, and I feel like Take a Knee would have helped me right there in that gunfight. These situations happen every single game. There are enemies in positions that you want to take from them, and vice versa. Situations like when the enemy has C on shores of time, there's usually a couple guys in the back by the rock or in the very back sniping, or they have a scout rifle. You can knee slide into Take a Knee and start doing your work and have the ability to be precise as reduced flinch, and it helps you win that challenge. And for me, I do a decent amount of knee sliding and always do when rounding these corners, so this perk helps me. It's one of those things you have to try for yourself. It has way more uses than just sitting in the furthest point in the back of the map. So in conclusion, this is a rare archetype that we're lucky enough to get every single week, but this is a really good start. We have Counterbalance. It's not really as necessary in the Parthian shot with high stability, but ideally, I'm looking for a Take a Knee, braced frame, or hand laid stock headseeker role next. I highly recommend this role, and to use Take a Knee how we talked about today, it brings out some of the best qualities of a high impact pulse with what you're able to do with it. It's up to you if you want to spin your marks on it, because we're all different. We have different play styles, different things that we want to do. And with high impact pulses, you can squeak out a couple close quarters engagements, like right here versus this last word, but it's not really recommended. Keep it to that mid to long range for the best success rate. I've always been a fan of high impact pulses. They're very hard hitting. The ability to 2-tap keeps me coming back to using them. So let me know in the comment section what you think of this week's Parthian shot. If you ended up buying it, what do you think? And what do you think of taking it if you've tried that? But if you decided to pass, that's okay. Let's talk about that too. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And until the next one, I am Coolguy.